Hey guys, so let's go. So we have so again we're continuing the topic of kedima bebrachot. So we said that certain things need to come before other items, and what we're going to be discussing is now the concept of aikar v'tafel. So we went over the correct order of berachot, and we understand that what comes first is hamotzi. What comes second is then hagefen. After that, it's any mezonot from the 5 grains. For Sfaradim, we have no preference between ha'etz and adama if they're brought together at the same time. And finally, shehakol is last. So a person needs to make sure that they're having the correct order in berachot when they sit down and they have a meal. Now what we're going to be doing is something called kedima bebrachot, meaning priority in berachot. And for that, before we get down to the nitty-gritty of each and every detail, we're going to need to cover a few side topics in the laws of berachot. And a lot of these you may not have heard of, but again, they're a little complicated. But again, we're going to go very slowly, and we have all of the sources for you here as well. So let's start. We're on source 4, Masech Berachot. Can anybody give me a virtual thumbs up? Anybody want to start a video, or it's just black box time? All right, no worries. We have source 4, Masech Berachot. Haviu lefanav meliach. This is called the law of meliach. Meliach literally means a very salty food. Haviu lefanav meliach. They brought you a very salty food, tehila at first, upat imo, and bread with it. What is bread with it? Meaning it's not part of the meal. However, it's a chaser, meaning in order to make sure that your mouth doesn't, die from the amount of salt from this meliach, it was customary that they served a little pita bread or let's say a roll with it, and now you would eat the meliach, and then to get rid of the salty taste, you would then put a piece of bread into your mouth. What do you do? So in that case, what is the beracha? So the Gemara says in Masech Berachot, mevarech al hameliach upoter et hapat. You say the beracha on the meliach, on the salty item, and it covers the bread. Shapat tefela lo. The pat, I highlighted the words. What does that mean? Shapat tefela lo. The bread is tafel, is secondary to this item. So meaning the only reason why you're eating these, let's take a modern day example. You love hot peppers, extremely hot peppers. So now you're eating the hot peppers, but you have crackers there that are serving as a chaser to be able to get rid of the extremely hot taste. Or let's say you have a drink next to you as well. So you're not going to make a beracha on the chaser, even though the chaser does give taste and it does have a purpose. Here, the purpose is not to taste the item. The purpose is to get rid of the salty taste that's in your mouth. This is called the din of meliach. So here, and even in this case, look at the case that the Gemara is bringing. The Gemara is bringing the case of something that the chaser is actually bread, where if you weren't eating the peppers with it or the salty item with it, you would technically have to wash for it. Even in that case, if you're bringing the bread, so in that case, you'd say the beracha on the meliach, let's say it's shakol or adama. Right here, let's say it's the hot peppers, adama. And even though you're eating bread, it does not get a beracha. You say adama, and it covers both items. It covers the meliach and the chaser. Now the Gemara gives us our most important point. Zeha kelal. This is the rule. Kol shehu aikad. Anything that is when you're eating 2 items, and one is the main. That's aikad. Ve'imot tefela, and with it is a secondary item. Mevarech al ha'ikar upoter et tefela. You make a beracha on the aikar, on the main part, and it covers the tafel. So many people are having a question. Rabbi, I have a million things in a bowl. Do I take out this thing and make a beracha, and then take out another thing and make a beracha? When you have one dish in front of you, or you have things that are 2 complementary items, that one complements the other, but one is clearly the main, you just say the beracha on the main item, and it covers the secondary item. Where do we get this from? Now you all know the din of meliach, of eating a very salty item. As a summary, you eat the salty item if they bring a chaser with it, such as bread. You do not make a beracha on the bread. You just make a beracha on the salty item, since it's the ikar, and it chases and it covers the chaser. Now you might ask that, well, what do you mean? If it gives taste, then we learned that we have to say the beracha. That's if both things are there for taste. In this case, it's not there for taste. It's actually there to remove something from your palate. So that's not for the taste of the item itself. I see we might have some questions, so we'll go with Odette first. Odette, what do you have?
Even if you know it's going to be a salty item or peppery, like you're going to need a piece of bread.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, but that's why you're eating it. You love, like, you're sitting down and you're watching, I don't know, a show, and you're like, oh, I love these hot peppers, but I need something to chase the flavor. You like the flavor, but you don't want it to last in your mouth. So even though you know, you could set that up in the first place. Your peppers with the bread, no problem.
I didn't know that. Thank you.
Okay.
Rabbi.
Yeah, Moshe. Welcome from Eretz Israel.
Hi. What if you're eating the bread after it for enjoyment?
Then you're going to say another beracha. Then it's not this case. That's
So
not the case of Meliah. Say it again.
When do you say the beracha?
Then I would say that beracha first. Then I would say it first. Then it would be the order of berachot. You have to say that one first. If you know going in, I love this bread, it's not really because then it changes the case. Then that case is I'm having bread and peppers. So which comes first? Bread. Moshe, good?
Yeah, perfect. Thanks.
Okay. All right, let's move. Any other questions on Meliah? Okay. So now we go to the Rambam. This is an essential Rambam. I mean, all the Rambams, I guess, are essential. So let's delve in for a second. We see that the Rambam now is going to talk about, let's say I have certain mixtures of foods. So the Rambam, this is from Hilchot Berachot, Perek Gimal, Vav through Zayin. Those are the halachot. Vav, Ketzad hi atfela ha'me'urevet. How does it work if something is tafel? Tafel again means secondary. That's mixed with something. So the Rambam is trying to say, I want to show you what it means to have something that's tafel but mixed in with something. So let's see. Kegon lefet, right, like a turnip, or kruv, right, or a type of squash that we have. Shebishelo ve'irev bo kemach. You cooked it, these vegetables, but you put flour in it. So we know that flour is mizonot. So right now we would say, okay, the flour is there, so once I'm putting mizonot in, it should be mizonot. So the Rambam says not so fast. Right, again, also should be mizonot. He mixes into it the kemach, the flour of one of the five grains. But kedeh ledabeko, what does kedeh ledabeko mean? In order to stick it together. The only reason why you're putting the flour in is to stick the ingredients together. In this case, eno mevarech alav boreh mineh mizonot. In this case, do not make the beracha of boreh mineh mizonot. Shalefet hu ha'ikar v'kimchot felah. The vegetable is actually the key ingredient, the ikar, and the flour is secondary. So the only way that the flour is secondary is if it's not there for taste. Again, that's going back to what Marsha was bringing up. It's only there to stick the item together. In that case, then what do you say? Eno mevarech ala boreh mineh mizonot shekol davar sheme'arvin oto ledabek. Anything that you mix only to stick it together, or kedeh liten reyach, or just to give it a smell, or kedeh lisboa et tavshil. The only reason is to color it. I have a piece of fish, and I have breadcrumbs, but it's not really there for taste. It's to give it some garnish. It's to give it some color. Et tavshil hare zot tefillah. That is considered tafel, secondary. Avalim ayrev kedeh liten tam batarobot. But if you mix it to give taste, Harehu ikar. That means it's ikar. So again, when it comes to something that's mezonot, Rambam is very methodical as where he's starting. Mezonot is the most complicated one. What happens if I have mezonot and I'm adding it for taste? Anytime you add mezonot of the 5 grains for taste, the beracha automatically is mezonot. It solves a lot of problems. Let's give some examples here before we get to the example. Actually, no, let's get to the example of the Rambam and then talk of practical examples. Lefichach, I'm over here highlighting. Can anybody see the screen? Anybody alive out there?
Yes.
There we go. All right, good. So, right, we have lefichach. Therefore, mine devash shemevashelin oto. They used to have these honey cookies. But it wasn't really honey cookie. It was honey, like a honeysuckle. They wanted you to taste something sweet at, let's say, like a farah at night. V'notnim bahen halav, right, and chita kedei ledabek ve'osin mehen minei metika. They would make those. How many of you guys know those sesame candies? You know, that's all sesame, but it's like it's bound together with like honey. So picture no sesame, just honey, but they would give it out. And in order to hold the honey, they would put like a very thin layer of flour, of mezonot, on the bottom so that they can lift it up. You can't touch honey with your hand. So in this case, what would you do? We would not say because here the honey is the ikar. The flour is only there so you can pick it up. It's not there for taste at all. Let's talk about a couple of practical examples. Ready? Let's talk about cheesecake. Anybody here ever make cheesecake? So now you make a cheesecake. The cheese which is shehakol. It's cream cheese. It's sugar. That's the ikar. And I'm just making it with a very thin layer of crust. Why do I put a thin layer of crust on a cheesecake? Anybody want to help me out? Let's get some interaction.
Hold the bottom.
Right, just to hold it. It's on the bottom. Thanks, Odette. You're making it easy. All right. Right, so now, so you're putting it just to hold it there. So that beracha, even though you, Rabbi, but what do you mean? I'm eating the crust too. But the crust, you can see it's very thin, and the crust is not there for taste. So that cheesecake, I'm going to say shakol. But when you make a cheesecake, you make the Oreo crust cheesecake, right? Or the graham cracker crust cheesecake. There is that crust to hold it in place, or that crust is for taste, to enhance the taste?
To enhance the taste.
There you go, Liz. Perfect. Beautiful. So therefore, see how complicated it is with two similar items. I could have cheesecake, but one cheesecake could be shakol, and the other cheesecake could be mezonot. So if I'm having Oreo crust cheesecake, that's mezonot, because the crust is not there just to hold it, it's the taste. But a very thin layer is only to hold it, and therefore it's shakol. Let's take some questions now.
What about chicken cutlets?
Excellent. Wow, she's tzaddiket. I can't believe you asked that. Because Odette, what do you think a chicken cutlet is?
Well, the majority of it is the chicken.
Right.
They're using it for taste. They like the crunch of the cornflakes.
100%. So now if you're using, so wait, two different things. So cornflakes from our last class, the berachah is adama. So if I'm using cornflake chicken, my wife makes sick cornflake chicken. I think we're having it this Friday night. So cornflake chicken, that's shehakol, because the batter that you're using is not mizonot. It's French dressing, and I think the cornflakes. So you're not adding anything mezonot to it. So there, you'll say exactly what you said, Odette. There, you're going to go by the majority. And therefore, you're going to say shakol. If I'm using traditional breadcrumbs, fried chicken, so obviously there, the entire coating, sometimes there's even a thick layer of wheat coating in a lot of these, the mazah stores. It's awesome. They sell all of these great mazah recipes, but it's a thick coating of wheat, and they batter it in the wheat. It's clearly there for taste. One of the ways that I understand, I love fish, but I love fish any way, shape, or form. I like it grilled, whatever, a whole bronzino. I love that. But my wife will only eat Fried fish. Why only fried fish? It shouldn't like the taste of regular fish, but fried fish, because the crust on the side masks that's there for the taste. That fish you can tolerate, but that's clear that fried fish, if it's in a breadcrumbs that are mizonot, that's going to be mizonot. So I say mizonot on those fried chicken nuggets and chicken fingers, the mazah ones, and I also say it on fried fish.
But Rabbi, if you like chicken in any shape or form and you're eating the mazah one, then is it still mizonot?
Opposite. That's hurting your case, Marsha. That's making it for sure mizonot. If I like chicken, but why'd I pick that one? For sure mizonot, but you don't even have to go that far. That's what I'm trying to teach you. When you look at the item that's cooked, if there's mizonot in it, that's made for taste, it's automatically going to be mizonot. Good, Marsha?
Yeah, good.
Okay. Okay, let's give another. We spoke about this the last time, but I want to just speak about it one more time. So this would also be the beracha regarding ice cream sandwich. An ice cream sandwich or a flying saucer. Okay, everyone loves ice cream, and maybe that's why you're really eating it. You really love ice cream. But the fact that the sandwich is definitely there for taste. It's not just to hold the ice cream in place. So for Sfaradim, we're going to say mezonot on the ice cream sandwich, and we're going to say it also on, let's say, like a flying saucer like that as well. Now, Rambam in Halacha Zayin, ketzad hiya tefela she'ena me'urevet. So all of that was a case of tefela, the secondary item, that was mixed. What about a tefela that's not mixed? What does that mean? The Rambam takes the case that we just brought. I wanted to bring it to you first from the Talmud. Rambam says, I'll give you an example of tefillah that's not even mixed together. They're two separate items. What's the case? The salty item or the hot jalapeno peppers. The hot peppers are one item. The bread is another item. Why is the bread there? The bread is only there to chase the taste away from your mouth, not because of the actual taste of the bread. So therefore, again, even the Rambam says, you only say the beracha on the meliach, on the salted item, upoter et hapat, and it takes care of the bread. The bread is secondary to it. And therefore, so too, anything that is like that. So again, the Rambam reinforces us that if we ever have something that's meant to chase away taste from us, we do not say a beracha. So now I want to insert a small halacha here, and this is very practical. Sometimes people have to take medicine or a pill. So if the reason why you're drinking water is that you're trying to get a pill down, and it's water, you do not make a beracha. So there's no beracha on that water. If you're thirsty and you also happen to have a pill to take and you're using water, you say a beracha because you want the water. Water, even though it doesn't have any taste. So how do I determine whether I say a beracha on water? Because I'm thirsty. Even if I'm not thirsty and I need to take a pill, but I'm using orange juice or soda, something that has taste, you say a beracha, because that's the klal of having pleasure to the palate. So I'm just building on that here because really I think it enhances this halacha, because really in the case of meliach, you're not having any pleasure from the bread. It's actually just removing a negative aftertaste. You love the taste of the peppers going down, but here, like Rambam says, you don't want it to damage your throat or leave it too acidic, so you put like a base inside. So that's where that comes from, and I think it directly connects to that halacha of taking medicine. Any questions on this? Okay, looks good. Now, let's look at the Bet Yosef. The Bet Yosef has another very clear example that people, especially us in our diet, what we like to use. You should just know that rice is a very complicated thing. Rice is we say mezonot on rice for a very peculiar reason. Technically, we should not say any berachot. We should not say mezonot on rice at all. We only say mezonot on 5 grains: wheat, barley, oats, spelt, and rye. That's it. Nothing else is mezonot. The Gemara actually had an argument and said, why do we say mezonot on rice? So the rabbi said we're going to say mezonot on rice because it is so'ed et halev. It fills a person up. And you see, it's a staple in our diet. We have rice every Friday night. We eat rice during the week. It's something that can fill a person up. So the rice on the front end of the beracha rishona, we say mezonot. But on the back end, we say borei nefashot. Let's say you're having rice and meat. So the rice is mezonot, the meat is shehakol, but at the end, it's just the borei nefashot. No mezonot, no ala mehya is said on having rice. Now, why are we bringing that up now? Because again, while you're going through your progressions, again, in this unit, what we discussed was, let's do a quick summary here. We went through the order of the berachot, which we summarized in the beginning of this class. Then we spoke about a concept of ikar and tafel. You always got to go with what's the main item. One of the caveats in ikar and tafel is mezonot for taste is always the ikar. So now the Beit Yosef wants to say, wait a second, does that apply to rice? So let's read. The Beit Yosef brings the Rosh and the Rif. Masha Katav Arif she'orez ayedet ta'arovet. The Rif, Rabbi Yitzhak Elfasi, says that rice with mixed up with something else. Let's take our case, rice and pepper steak, right? Rice mixed with steak and peppers. Eno mevarech alav borei minei mezonot. The Rif wants to say, don't say mezonot. Hainu, what does that mean? But wait a second. When the Rif actually said that rice and pepper steak is, you don't say mezonot, what was he talking about? Hainu kesheharov hu mimin acher. If there's majority pepper and pepper steak, you're going to say shehakol. Again, if the majority is peppers, you'd say adama. But it's clearly not the rice in this case. Aval im rubo orez afal pi sheyesh po ta'arovet mimin acher mevarech borei minei mezonot. V'kach katuv Rabbeinu Atur. So if there's a mixture together, I have rice with meat, what do I have to look at it? I have to say, what is the majority? So why did we change? Why, Rabbi, it's mezonot, you should say mezonot. No, because it's not one of the mezonot, it's not mezonot of one of the 5 grains. So if I'm just having rice with vegetables, or I'm having rice with chicken, so again, it could be a situation where you load it up with chicken and you mix it up, and it's really just, it's like basically chicken with a little bit of rice. You're going to say shakol. If you're having rice with a little bit of sauce and chicken just for flavor, then it's going to be mezonot. But wait a second, it doesn't sound that way from the Rambam. Shekatav, when the Rambam talks about orez of rice, orez should be shalom mivarech borei minei mezonot. The Rambam says it's always mezonot. So the Beit Yosef says that this is talking about orez levado. This is talking about rice by itself. But we follow the halacha that if it's mezonot, if the majority is rice, then you're going to say mezonot. So any questions here? Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah, Liz,
what about sushi, where the rice is the ikar? Because I don't want to have sushi with like quinoa. I do like the rice.
Right.
But then there's also the fish inside.
So really excellent question. Sushi is very complicated. It's really going to depend on the roll. If a person has a tempura roll, let's take the easy one. So a tempura roll is fried mezonot. That's automatically mezonot. Okay? If a person has, let's say, a type of nori roll where it's majority veggies and all the veggies are adama, then we're going to say adama because that's the majority. I find 90% of the time the rice is the majority, and therefore I'll say mezonot, exactly based on this. So it depends on how stores make their sushi, and you're gonna have to look each time. I really say that 90% of the time the sushi is mezonot. There are certain rolls that a person gets where it's stuffed with like avocado. Sometimes there's avocado bomb roll, like it's avocado inside and then avocado on top. So that's Borei Priyayetz, because the majority is clearly in that case. That case is the avocado. So yeah, Elizabeth, I hope I answered the question.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, you did.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure. Just wait. I'm just trying to see who's talking. Yeah, Sandy, what's up?
Hi, Rabbi.
Hi, Sandy.
Okay, so hashu, if it's equal part rice to meat, you're saying
She'akol.
because rice is not one of the 5.
Not one of the 5 grains, exactly.
Okay.
So now here's a good one, Sandy. Let's say you have like the basal mechshi, or like the onion mechshi, or let's say you have a tomato mechshi.
Yeah.
So you're going to make the beracha on the tomato. The tomato is much larger than the stuffing. Now, it also depends how it's stuffed. There are some tetas, God bless them, there's just a tomato shell and the entire inside is hashweh, right? It's awesome, right? It's just, right? Some people, no, they leave a lot of, like kusa mechshi, and the way my mother-in-law makes it, there's a lot of squash left. The majority is squash. So if I'm just having that, I'm going to go with the majority of the vegetable.
But like, it sounds so dumb, but how do you know, like before you go into it, you don't know the amount, like you can't see like how thick it is till you like.
Yeah, I understand. Sometimes good point. Sometimes I'll cut it in half. Sometimes I'll just say she'akol. If I really have a doubt, I'll say she'akol the first time. Usually when you eat by a person's house, you know how they make the mechshi,
Right.
So
Yeah.
you'll say, oh, my mom's is very thick. My mother-in-law's is very thin.
It's usually when you have hamotzi anyway, so it covers.
Exactly. Right. So it's usually on Shabbat, but not, I don't know about you, but like, Saturday night, I pick from the pots,
Mhm.
But I don't have the bread sometimes. I try to have the bread from Elavem Al-Ka, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Sandy, we got it or no?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So that's good. Okay, it's already 12 o'clock, so we're gonna pick up from this we're finishing up this topic next week. Hopefully, it might take us 2. And then I think we have only one more class after that. So all right, so thank you everybody. Thanks everybody for coming. Any more questions before we sign
Thank you.
off?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Any more questions? Oh no, we're good.
Oh, good. Please send out the recording. I'd like to hear it again.
Okay, great. Yeah, it takes them a few days, so I usually send it out after the weekend. But yeah, I'll try.
Thank you. Shabbat shalom.
Thank you guys. Shabbat shalom.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Yeah.
Thank you.